And with no more words from my part, I will give the floor to Julis Jimenez Orjuela, that is the creator and the leader of the Women Connect America program. I don't know if Julie, you are connected? Yes? Okay.
Gracias, Ro. No,
Thank
las que
you,
hacemos
Ro.
posible esto somos todas
Thank you for
nosotras.
all of
Yo
us are making this
solamente
possible.
estoy aquí
I'm
siendo
just
una
here
facilitadora y un
as a
puente
facilitator, as
entre
a
toda
bridge
la
among
cocina interna del BID
all
y
the
este programa que
backstage
está
from
muy
the
enmarcado en todo
IDB
lo que
and this
hacemos desde el
program
sector
that is
privado.
um,
Para quienes
framed in
no
everything that we
conocen
are
mucho
doing
de
for
cómo
the
estamos
private sector.
estructurados, el
If you
banco
don't know
tiene
us a lot,
un
this
brazo público y un
bank
brazo
is structured
privado.
with a
Nosotras somos
public
parte del
area
sector
and
de
the
productividad,
private
comercio e innovación,
part.
es
So
parte
we are
del brazo
trying to gain
público
more
del banco, en
productivity,
donde nos
business
estructuramos en diferentes
innovation. That is the part of
sectores
the public
y
bank that
desde la
we
parte
try
más
to work with
institucional hay
every
un
different
gran
area on
interés
every
en
different
desde el
sector.
brazo
And of
público del
course,
banco
we have
podamos
another part that
seguir
is
fortaleciendo
institutional
los
from the bank, and
programas
we'd
de
like to
acompañamiento y
strengthen
apoyo
all the programs
a
that
las
support
empresas.
and
Conecta Américas
accompany
es un canal,
companies.
tenemos otros
Connect
canales también de
Americas is one
trabajo
of
con
the
el sector
channels from our
privado,
institution. We also
pero
have
el
other
enfoque de
channels
Conecta
for the
Américas
private
está hoy
sector,
muy
and
enfocado
Connect
en
Americas
cómo podemos
is really
generar
focused on how we can
herramientas, puentes,
create
lazos de
and build
conversación y de
tools,
conexión que nos permitan
links
acompañar
of
a las pequeñas y
conversation,
medianas
of
empresas. Y
chatting,
ese es un
and
poco
how to
el
get
objetivo
connected, how
de
all the
Conecta
companies can
Américas
get
y a
connected
través de su
among
capítulo
each
de
other.
género,
And
Mujeres
another
Conecta
goal of Connect
Américas,
Americas
pues
is the
nuestro
gender
principal
chapter,
desafío
the
y misión es
women one.
justamente poder
This is a
entender mejor
challenge for
cuáles
us
son
to
las
try to
barreras que
understand
las
which
mujeres
are the
empresarias están
boundaries, which are
enfrentando,
the
cuáles
limits
son esos
that
desafíos
the entrepreneurs,
sistémicos,
the
pero también
women are
cuáles son esos
facing right
desafíos más
now,
internos, ¿no?
which
Entonces
are the
estamos buscando de
internal
alguna manera
challenges
poder
regarding gender. So we are
generar
trying to
una suerte de
generate
contenidos, de soluciones, de
content,
herramientas, de
solutions,
actividades de asistencia
tools,
técnica como
activities
esta,
for technical
justamente para
assistance as
abordar
this one
esos
in order
desafíos,
to
cómo podemos
launch, in
abordar esos
order to
desafíos que son
face
sistémicos,
those
pero también qué
challenges,
cambios y qué
those
transformaciones
systemic
internas
challenges, and
podemos
what
hacer como
transformations, what
líderes y como
internal changes
empresarias
and transformation
de
can we
negocios o
do
como mujeres
as
que nos
leaders,
estamos
as
enfrentando
entrepreneurs,
a
as
toda una
business
suerte
women, what we are
de
facing
situaciones que a veces
and in
no
every
controlamos,
situation.
entonces cómo
Sometimes
podemos
we are
nosotras
facing
fortalecernos
situations
y en
that
ese
we don't know
sentido
how to
este
control. So
challenge
in
pues
that way,
viene
how can we
justamente a
strengthen that? How
abordar
this challenge
algunas de esas
wants to
barreras.
face
Entonces
that
esa es
and
nuestra
to try
misión,
to
eso es lo que nos
solve
mueve, lo que
and
nos
to
motiva. Me siento
trespass
súper
these
contenta de que
limits.
hoy podamos estar
And
teniendo
this is
esta
what motivates
conversación.
us, and
Este
this
es un trabajo que va a ser en
allows us to
equipo,
have
pero
this
también es un trabajo
conversation.
individual,
This
¿no?
is a
Entonces las
work
invito a que
that is
puedan
as a team,
aprovechar
but
todas las
also it's
herramientas
an
que
individual
se han
work that we
diseñado.
are
Hay
leading.
toda una serie de
You can
actividades que han
leverage
sido
and try
muy
to
bien
use all the
pensadas, que han
tools
sido
that
muy
we
bien
have designed.
estructuradas.
Everything,
Estamos
every
contando con
activity
una
has been very well
facilitadora
thought,
estrella
very
que
well
es Tonia, que
structured,
nos ha venido
and
acompañando ya desde
we
hace
are
varios
working with
años
this great
en este tipo de
facilitator that is
actividades de
Tonia, that
asistencia
is
técnica.
has been helping us with a
Entonces las
lot
invito a que lo
during many
aprovechen, que se
years.
den este regalo.
So you have to
Yo sé que
try
a
to
veces es fácil, es
leverage and
difícil
use this space. This
sacar
is
el
a gift for
tiempo y
you.
poder
Sometimes I
concentrarse
know it's
en
difficult
cosas
for
como
you to
tan
have the
concretas,
time to
pero
concentrate
sabemos
in
que
these
esto al
tools
final
in
es
learning.
una
But this
inversión de tiempo,
activities, what
una
you're doing
inversión que
here
les va a
is an
servir
investment of
muchísimo y les va a
time.
dar unos instrumentos
It's
súper
an
valiosos
investment
para el
that it
presente y
will
para el futuro de
give
sus
you a lot
negocios.
afterwards
Entonces
for
estamos
the
juntas en este
present and
camino.
also for the
Me siento
future
súper
of your
honrada
business.
de poder
So we are
estar
together in this
acompañándolas
path,
también y
and I'm
estaré
really
también
proud to
siendo
be able to
una
be here
más
with
desde el
you
equipo en la
and
medida de lo
being one
posible.
more of this
Así que
team.
nada,
And
eso era un
I'm
poco lo
really
que
glad
quería
and happy.
compartirles
And that
hoy,
is what I wanted to
agradecerles
share with
y qué
you
lindo
and
ver
to
esos
thank you
rostros y poder
for
también
being
tener
here today. I'm
un
happy to
conocimiento
see
más
you
cercano de
in
todo
this
lo que están haciendo en sus
session. I'm
negocios.
happy to
También
see your
ojalá nos
faces
podamos
and to
conectar por
know
LinkedIn. Voy a dejarlo por ahí en el chat también para
to
que
have a
y
closer
déjenme los
look of
suyos
what your
para que
businesses
podamos
are.
conectar a
And
través de LinkedIn.
it's
Eso
also
sería
nice to
todo de
connect
mi
through
lado, Ron.
LinkedIn. So if you can share
Bueno,
your
gracias Julie
LinkedIn
por las palabras de apertura.
profiles on the
Así que
chat,
sin
that
más
will be great.
dilaciones, vamos a
Thank
dar
you,
inicio a
Julie, for
esta
your
primera
words.
sesión
And
y
now
le
we
voy a
will
dar las
start the
palabras
third
a Tonia
session, and
Gallardo,
I will
nuestra
give the floor to
facilitadora en las
Tonya
próximas
Dawi, that is the
sesiones
facilitator
para que
in
ya
this
comiencen a
um,
trabajar. Así que
session
bienvenidas.
today in this
Tonia, te
webinar.
cedo la
Welcome
palabra.
today. Welcome, Tonya.
Muchas
And the
gracias,
floor is
Rocío, y
yours.
muchas gracias,
Thank you
Julie.
very much,
Voy a
Rocio.
compartir
Thank you,
mi
Julie. I will
pantalla
share my
para
screen
empezar
in order to start with this webinar
con la
today.
sesión. Creo que ahí estamos.
I think we can see it right now. Yes.
Bienvenidas a todas. Mi
Welcome,
nombre es Tonia,
everyone.
soy
My
la
name is
facilitadora, como
Tonia.
ya ha dicho
I'm the facilitator, the
Julie
trainer, as
García
Julie
y
mentioned,
Rocío,
and
perdón.
Rocio also.
Y quisiera empezar con una
I
pequeña
would like to
introducción.
start
Yo vivo
with
en Holanda,
a
soy la
short
hija
introduction.
de un
I live
padre
in
que viene
the
de Liberia,
Netherlands.
en África, y
I'm
una
a
madre
daughter of a
holandesa.
man that is from
Y yo he hecho parte
Liberia
de
and
mis
a
estudios en
mother that is
Liberia,
from
en la Costa de
the
Marfil,
Netherlands.
en España
And
y también
I
en Holanda,
also
donde
lived
vivo
in
ahora.
Spain, in
He
Brazil,
trabajado
and I'm
con,
living in the
con una
Netherlands now.
consultoría
I've
hace
worked
muchos
with
años,
a
pero hasta ahora
consultant many years
he
ago,
trabajado para
and I've
agencias de
also
gobierno
worked
aquí en
for
Holanda y
in
hace
government
11 años
agencies
ya
in the
trabajo como
Netherlands, and
consultora
I'm working for
independiente.
11 years now
Trabajo
as an
mucho con las
independent
pymes
consultant. I
y
work a lot with
sobre el
small and
tema del
medium
emprendimiento.
enterprises
Es
and with
decir, que trabajo con
entrepreneurship. I work a
organizaciones
lot
o
with
agencias
organizations and agencies
gubernamentales, por ejemplo,
that are
como pueden
belonging to the
como
government.
pueden
For
escuchar, el
example,
español no es mi lengua materna,
as
entonces
you can
haré
listen,
errores durante estas
Spanish
sesiones,
is not my
pero
language,
espero
so
que me
maybe
puedan
I'm
entender
going to
bien.
make some mistakes, but I hope that you can
He
understand me
trabajado con
correctly.
agencias
I have worked with agencies,
gubernamentales
with
sobre
government
el tema de la
agencies
política de emprendimiento
regarding the
y
entrepreneurship policies.
como fortalecer,
And
¿no?,
as
el
a
ambiente
strength,
para las pymes, para que
the
puedan
environment
crecer de
for the
forma
small and
buena.
medium enterprises in order
Trabajo
to grow
directamente
in a
con las
great way,
pymes,
in a
por
good
ejemplo, a
way. I
través de
work
este programa
directly
del
with
BID,
these
pero
companies
también con
through the
el
IDB
Centro
program
Internacional
and
de
also
Comercio
with the
en Ginebra, por ejemplo.
International
Trabajo
Business
con
Center in
instituciones y organizaciones
Genevieve,
que
and I
apoyan
also
a
work
las
with
pymes.
other
Y
companies
también
that,
tengo en África
and I also
una
have in
fundación que trabaja en el
Africa
tema de emprendimiento
a
con mujeres
foundation
y
that works
jóvenes.
with
Y es
women and
una
young
combinación de
people. That
formación de
is a
emprendimiento,
combination
pero
of a
también
lot
una
of different
microfinanza para
trainings
que
that has
estas
to do with
emprendedoras
funding,
puedan
so that
empezar
these
y hacer
women
crecer sus
everywhere can access their
empresas.
um,
Además, tengo una
funding for their
escuela en Liberia,
companies. And I
entonces
also
tengo
have
una
a
empresa
school
y
in
tengo
Liberia,
una
I have a company,
fundación. Y
and I
aquí en
have a
Holanda
foundation.
trabajo
And
como
here in the
consultora
Netherlands, I work
independiente,
as
como
a
ya he dicho.
consultant, as an independent consultant
Entonces,
here in the Netherlands.
los
So, as I
objetivos
was
de hoy
mentioning, today's
son
goals
estas, ¿no?
would be these ones that
Vamos
you
a
can
hablar
see here. We
durante
will
estas
talk
sesiones,
during
vamos
this
a
session,
hablar
we will
de
be
cómo
talking of
prepararse
how
para
to prepare
pedir y
yourselves
solicitar
to ask
financiamiento de un financiador o de
for
un inversor.
financing, for
Y sé
funding.
que todas las mujeres que tenemos
I
aquí
know that
hoy
everyone that is here, every
ya han
woman that is
obtenido, ya
has
han
joined
solicitado
today,
dinero, ya han
have asked
obtenido
for
un
money, they
financiamiento
have
antes y
obtained
ahora
some
están buscando
funding
un financiamiento más grande.
beforehand, and now they're
Entonces,
looking for a
todas saben
greater,
escribir un
a
plan de
bigger
negocio, por ejemplo.
funding,
No
so they
vamos a
know
hablar
how to
de cómo
write
escribir
down
un
a
plan de
business
negocio.
plan. We're not
Lo que
going to
quiero
talk
hacer
about
con
how to
ustedes durante estas
write a business
sesiones
plan, but I would
es
like to
hablar de
do
las
in these
cosas
sessions is
más
to talk
importantes, los
about the
puntos
most important
claves
parts, the key
para que puedan
points,
asegurarse de
for
que
so
sean
you can
de
ensure
que
yourself
estén
that you
listas
can
para estas
be ready
conversaciones con
for
los
those
financiadores que van
conversations,
a
those
tener,
chats
o
with
sea,
the
en este
funders that you're
challenge,
going to
o
have in the
sea,
future.
en
In this
las semanas y los
challenge
meses
and in the
que
following
vienen,
weeks and
o
months,
otras conversaciones
or
futuras que
maybe you
puedan
can
tener.
make other
Tendremos cuatro
conversations or
sesiones
establish other
juntas
conversations that you
y la
can
primera
have in the
sesión
future.
se trata
The
de
first
evaluar y
session
refinar tu
works
caso
is
de
about
negocio.
assessing
En la
and
segunda
refining
sesión
your
vamos a
business
hablar de
case.
cómo
The
diseñar
second one is
tu
going
plan de
to be
financiamiento
about
estratégico. En la
defining your
tercera
strategic
hablaremos de la
business
salud de
plan.
tu
The third
empresa
session
cuando tengas más
will
dinero,
we will
cuando
be talking
tengas
about the
una
health
inversión,
of your
cómo
company when you
mantener la
have an
resiliencia de tu empresa.
investment, how you
Y en la
maintain the
sesión,
resilience
en la
of your
última
company.
sesión,
And in the
vamos a
last
hablar de la
session, we will be
diligencia.
talking about due
Para algunas
diligence.
de ustedes puede ser
For
una
many of
repetición. En
you,
este
this
caso,
can be a
yo diría
repetition.
de
In this
ver
case,
estas
I would
sesiones como
say that
una
try to
confirmación
see these
de lo que ya
sessions as a
de lo que ya saben,
confirmation of what
como
you
una
already know
aseguración
to
de que
ensure
esté lista para
and
las
to
conversaciones con
support
los
that you are going
financiadores.
to be ready
En la
for
última
your
sesión,
chats or
esperamos también
conversations with
contar
the
con dos
funders.
o tres
In the next
financiadores
sessions, we
para
will
una
hope
sesión de
to be,
preguntas y respuestas de
we have
30
invited
minutos.
2 or 3
Así que ya
funders
pueden
so
prepararse
you
un
can
poco
ask
durante las
questions to,
sesiones, pero si
and
tienen,
they
por
will be
ejemplo,
able to answer them. You
preguntas
can get
muy
ready for
importantes
those
que
future
quieren
sessions if you have
discutir
very
con los
important questions
financiadores,
in
tendrán
order
esa
to
opción
ask
en la
these
última sesión.
funders. You will have the chance to do that in the
Ahora,
last session.
And a key question, when you're trying to find additional investment to grow your business, the key question for a funder when checking your model is if he can find evidence of traction in terms of sales, not just as a result of the funding process, but whether the company is already growing. If you understand the logic being presented for growth, future growth, if you can understand which factors will have a result in the growth of your company, and if this will help you in achieving your goals, and whether your plan is clear in the use of money. If you are able to explain very clearly how you will use funding, at what time, and what do you expect to get as a result of this funding process. So the focus of this group, because we have two groups, the focus on this group, it's about understanding how you are aligned with your funder, to understand the logic in the business that is aligned with the growth stage of your company. And what are you able to do? How you can improve credibility under scrutiny of a funder? And why they focus on this? Because let's think it this way. If you want to buy a car that is perfectly painted, but the engine presents some problems during conversations, and also at the request that you are submitting, you must be able to prove that the engine of your car, in this case your business, that there is no problem with that. And if there are some problems, that you are able to solve them, whether it is in a short term but not in the long term. For a funder that is looking for possible investments, if your model is replicable, that is to replicate it in another market, if it is scalable, if you can grow, and if it is strategic, whether you have a long-term view, your goals are clear. If you are able to explain all of this in a clear way, and you are able to convince a funder that it makes sense to invest in your business model or to provide a loan for your business, that is important, because at the end of the day, a funder needs to believe that the idea is to give money to earn money. So think about in a personal way. When you want to buy something or invest in something, what is the return on your investment? The interest rate for them. The interest rate for an investor might be considered as a growth of the value of the company that they are investing in. So when we are talking about the business model clarity, the weaknesses that they point out have to do with this: the over-reliance on limited income streams. For instance, if you just have one client that provides 30 or 40% of your sales, If you do not have a cost elasticity analysis, because costs rise with volume, and you can increase your sales, but your costs also. Margins in this case, at least, and that will depend on the type of company that you have, but margins must remain flat or shrink. But if they shrink, that is a red flag for an investment. If your narrative is strong and your monetization logic is strong, that is correct. But if you have a strong narrative, but you cannot explain how you will earn more money, how you will increase your sales, it will be rather difficult to convince a funder. Mission creep, I was not able to translate this into Spanish, but the idea is that you are trying new things before having completing what you are doing right now. For instance, you want to expand your area into new horizons without evidence of traction. So you have a new service or a new product and you want to test the market. I think we will see in the second or third session, we will talk about the importance of aligning the type of funding that you are requesting with what you want to do, with your goal. If you are searching investments for a pilot, perhaps you will try to find a donation or a grant by the government to help you expand on this particular area. Also, some investors will be willing to help you in the funding process of your pilot. But normally, banks will not provide money for a pilot. They want to see that you are creating a stable company with profitability in your investment. They want to make sure of that before providing funding. So it's important to align the type of funding that you request with the stage of your company, the state in which you are, and the goal of your funding process. That is very important. The busy but broke models. That, of course, again, will depend whether you are a tax company. If you have a lot, you might have a lot of activity at the beginning, but you are not able to prove your profitability. But for an additional funding, you need to have a really strategic plan, a plan in which you are able to explain each step of your growth. You must be able to explain how you will achieve your profitability. That is important information for an investor or a bank. And dependency on founders' personal networks or unpaid efforts. This, of course, will depend on which stage, on the stage of your company. If this is not very well offset, if there is not an important offset, that will depend on unpaid jobs. So what might happen if you suppose you need to step aside? Investors or banks, traditional funders, are always look for certainty. They must be certain that they will obtain money with the funding they provide. If you do not have a plan at this point, if your effort is not completely profitable, or if you cannot explain, that might be a problem of governance or at
puede
least
ser un
that might be
problema
the
de
problem for the
gobernanza,
funder
y al
perspective.
solicitar
And
financiación,
when requesting
los
funds,
inversores quieran entender cómo
investors
está
need
estructurado
to
tu gobernanza.
understand how your governance is
Tienes
structured.
roles claros,
You have
tienes
clear
las
roles, you have
responsabilidades claras
responsibilities
y
that are
bien
really
divididas,
clear and well
compartidas entre
divided,
personas.
shared
Tienes una
between
gestión
different people.
profesional,
You
no
have a
solamente la
professional
generadora
management,
que
not
maneja
just the
el negocio,
founder
o
who
vas
manages the
desarrollando eso,
company,
tienes un
or
plan para
you are
desarrollarlo,
going
y
step by
tienes
step. And
procesos
if you do
claros de
have
decisión
clear
que giran
processes in the
únicamente
decision
en
making
torno
that are
a
not
ti.
just around
Son cosas
yourself.
que
These are things that
cuando pides dinero, cuando
when you
solicitas
request for
dinero
money
para el crecimiento, vas a un
to
nivel
grow your
más
company,
alto.
you are going
Este
to a
nivel más
higher
alto
level. And this
para
level
un financiador
for a
debe
funder
corresponder
must
con un
be
nivel de
aligned with a
profesionalización de la empresa
professionalization of the
más
company.
alta, un nivel más alto, perdón. Entonces vas creciendo
A
con la
higher
empresa,
level. So
vas
you're
desarrollando
growing
tu
with the company,
profesionalismo,
you're developing your
vas desarrollando
professionalism,
como
you will be
vas estructurando
developing
mejor tu empresa, vas
and
desarrollando la
structuring better
gobernanza
your
y los
company. You will
sistemas y los
develop the
y los
management,
procesos dentro
the
de tu empresa,
systems, the
mientras
process
vas
from your
creciendo
company while you're
buscando
growing and
financiamiento
looking for
adicional.
funding, for at least additional funding.
¿Qué es lo que quieren ver
So
en esta
what
próxima fase?
do they want to
No
see
vas a
in this
decir,
next phase?
ok,
You're not going
hemos
to say,
obtenido financiamiento
okay, we have
la
found
última vez
the
y
funding last
esto funcionó
time,
bien porque hemos
so it
podido
worked
obtener eso,
correctly because
hemos
we
podido lograr eso.
could
Todo
obtain what we
puede
wanted,
ser
we
la
could achieve
verdad,
your
pero lo
goals.
que
That could be
buscan
the
es
truth,
este
but
plan,
what they are looking
este plan
for is your
estructurado.
plan, this
Así es
structure
como vamos a
plan.
escalar
That is
nuestras
how you're going to
operaciones, nuestro
escalate
negocio.
and our company,
Así
our
es como el
operations. That is
financiamiento
how
nos ayudará a hacerlo,
funding is going
sin
to help
romper
us
este modelo de
do this,
negocio que
escalate,
tenemos ahora
without
y
breaking
sin
your
crear nuevos
business order
riesgos.
and
O
without
si habrán nuevos
creating
riesgos,
new
tienes
risks.
también
If
un
you
plan de
find
mitigación
new
o tienes
risks, you
medidas
will have a
de
mitigation
mitigación
plan. You
para
will have
abordar
mitigation
estos
measures
riesgos.
to face these risks.
Alineando financiamiento con crecimiento.
When we talk
Como
about
he dicho, cada tipo de
aligning
crecimiento
funding with
requiere
growth,
una
as I
lógica
mentioned, each
distinta.
type of growth
Por
requires
ejemplo,
a different
si
type of funding
buscas
logic.
escalar la
For
entrega,
example, if you look for
vas a
delivery
invertir en
scaling,
capacidad de
you
producción
will
o en sistemas
invest in
logísticos.
production capacity and in
Si
logistic
buscas
systems.
mejorar
If you're looking to improve
márgenes,
your
vas a trabajar en la
margins, you will
automatización
work
quizás,
in
o
the
en el rediseño de
automation, in
procesos, o vas a
process
cambiar tu
redesign,
modelo de
or you're going to
tu
change
modelo de
your
precios.
price model.
Si
You're going to
quieres
do a price
entrar
model
a un
shift.
nuevo
You're
mercado,
going to enter a new
necesitarás
market.
quizás un nuevo
You
equipo
will maybe
de
need a
ventas
new
o
team, a new
necesitarás
sales team, or you will need
reclutar más
to
personas para tu
recruit
equipo de
more
ventas.
people for your sales
Quizás quieres empezar
team.
con algunos
If you want
pilotos
to
o
start with
necesitas
some
capital de trabajo.
pilots, you will need
Lo mismo con construcción
work
de sistemas, por
capital.
ejemplo,
And if
esta
you want to
profesionalización de
build
tu empresa.
systems, you
En tu
will
plan
have to make this
deberías explicar
systematization of your
qué
company and
exactamente quieres hacer,
professionalization. What you
cómo
will
lo vas
like
a
to do
hacer,
is what you're going to
cuándo
mention
lo
in
vas
this
a
plan,
hacer, cuáles son los
when you're going
resultados
to do
que
it,
esperas
which
obtener,
are the
quieres
results that
lograr,
you hope to have,
y no trabajar en todo
and
al mismo tiempo.
not work at
Sé que
everything
ya
at the same
son
time.
acostumbradas a tener
I
estas
know that you're
conversaciones
accustomed to
con
have these
financiadores, o al
conversations
menos
with
la
funders,
mayoría entre
at least
ustedes.
most of you. I'm sure you have
Y
clear
sé
this type of
que en este
conversations,
caso
but I know
sabrán
that in
que
this
cada
case,
3 o 6
you
meses
will
tendrán
have
conversaciones
that
con
every
los
3 or
financiadores
6 months you
para
will
hablar
have
del
conversations with the
progreso, ¿no?
funders to talk about
Si no lo
progress,
saben,
about
si
advances. If you
obtienen
don't know this,
financiamiento,
if you
tendrán
get
como
this
conversaciones,
funding,
a
you
veces
will need to
mensuales,
have these
depende un poco del
conversations,
financiador,
maybe
pero
monthly
tendrán como
conversations,
conversaciones
but
al
you
menos
have
cada
to
3,
plan
cada
these
6
conversations
meses
every 3
para
or
hablar un
6
poco de
months
tu
in order
progreso,
to show and to
explicar
tell,
la
talk
diferencia
about the
entre lo
progress, to
esperado y
explain the
la
difference
realidad. Y
about
también
what
hablar
is
de las
what is
consecuencias
hoped
si la
for and
realidad no es
reality,
exactamente lo
and also
mismo
to talk
como
about the
lo que habías
consequences if the
esperado.
reality is not
Si hay
what you were
consecuencias para
hoping
tu
for.
negocio,
If
para
there
tus
are consequences
proyecciones,
for
para
your
tus
business, if
previsiones.
there are consequences
Si
for your
trabajas con
projections, for
fintech,
your provisions, if
es
you
decir,
if
buscas
you work with
financiamiento en línea,
fintechs,
puede ser que
to see if
debes
you're looking for
subir
online funding,
updates financieros
maybe you will
cada
have
mes.
to upload finance updates every month.
Perdón, tengo un problema con...
So I think I have a problem. Yes,
Okay.
I solved it.
Para esta próxima fase
For
de
this next
crecimiento y de
stage
financiación que
of
estás
growth, of
buscando,
funding stage
los financiadores no
that you
buscarán
are looking for,
solamente
the
si
fundings
puedes aumentar
not
tus
only look
volúmenes de ventas,
if you can increase
buscarán
your
este plan de
sales
crecimiento
volume,
cualitativo.
but they will
Mejores
look
sistemas,
also for this
caja,
qualitative growth,
etcétera,
better
mayor
systems,
eficiencia.
more predictable cash
Me
flow,
gustaría,
etc.,
antes de
etc.
pasar, me gustaría empezar con un pequeño ejercicio
Before
individual.
continuing, I would
Perdón,
like to
en un breakout
do some
no es un ejercicio
individual
individual, pero
exercise.
en grupo. Pero antes de hacerlo, me gustaría saber
Before doing
si
it,
hay
I
algunas
would like to know
preguntas.
if you have any question before this exercise.
Si
Before continuing,
seguimos.
so we will
Okay.
continue. Okay.
No. Aquí están.
Here we are.
Perdón, pensé que ya estuvimos al...
I'm sorry, I thought we had already
breakout.
talked about this and that we were in our breakout
Solicitudes
rooms.
débiles de financiamiento.
We
He
have
puesto algunos
weak funding requests.
ejemplos aquí.
I'm
Necesitamos
mentioning
más
some
financiamiento,
examples here. We need more
pero
more
no bastan,
funding
por ejemplo,
to
el
keep
ROI,
growing,
el retorno en
but we
inversión,
cannot show
return
the
on investment,
return
la
on
ronda
investment
anterior,
from the
o
last round.
vas a hablar
Or
de
you're going to talk
expansión a
about
otros
expanding
países,
to other
pero aún
countries,
no has
but you're not,
asegurado la distribución
you
en el
cannot
mercado actual o
ensure
tu
the
mercado
distribution
nacional,
on
por
your
ejemplo, o no
domestic
tienes
sales, or you
una
don't
base sólida
have a
antes
solid
de querer
base, a firm
expandirte.
base before expanding yourself.
Intentar
So trying
aumentar
to
ventas con marketing,
increase, to
pero aún
expand,
no tienes un embudo
increase sales
probado
with
o no tienes
marketing,
esta
no
lógica de
tested
costos
funnel
o
or unit
unitarios.
economics,
Contratar un equipo,
to
pero no
try to
tienes un plan
hire a
de
team,
flujo de caja
but
para
you don't
sostener
have a
la
cash
nómina, por
flow
ejemplo.
plan to
Entonces,
sustain the
lo
payroll.
que están
So
buscando los
what you're
financiadores es
looking for, what
entender
the funders are
si
trying to look
puedes
for, is
crecer
to
y
understand if
prosperar
you can
y
grow,
o si
if
estás
you
solamente
can have the results that you hope
sobreviviendo.
for, or you're just
Una otra
surviving. That's
señal de
what they want
alerta
to
es
know.
cuando el
Another
financiamiento que estás
alert is
buscando
the
o
past
perdón,
funding
el
covered
financiamiento
overhead,
del pasado lo has utilizado
but
solamente
did
para
not
cubrir gastos
strengthen
generales
revenue
y no para
capacity.
fortalecer
You
la
just use
capacidad
it for
de generar
expenditures, but not to
ingresos.
strengthen your revenue capacity.
Aquí, características de
So,
solicitudes sólidas.
some
Hemos
characteristics of
hablado un poco de
strong
esa
funding
claridad de,
request,
esa
talking
claridad
about
estratégica.
the
¿Qué vas a
quality
crecer?
of this
¿Cómo y
strategic
por qué?
quality, to ask
El
and to
ROI,
tell
el
how and
ROI,
why,
el retorno
when
en
we have
inversión,
the
ROI medible,
return on
cómo el
investment,
financiamiento
measurable,
anterior
how
mejoró
previous
los
funding
KPIs, Key
improved
Performance
financial
Indicators,
and
los
operational
indicadores financieros y operativos,
KPIs, the
inmadurez, señales de
indicators,
que estás
and
construyendo
also
un motor
way to know
financiable y
is
no
your
solamente
maturity, the signs
sobreviviendo.
that you are building
¿Cómo
a
puedes
fundable
reconocer
engine and not just
una empresa
surviving? This is how to recognize
que
a
está
company
madurando?
that is
Bueno, podrás ver
maturing,
un
that
flujo
is
de caja
growing.
estable y predecible,
You
por
will
ejemplo.
also have
Habrá
to
un
see
énfasis en reducción de
cash
costos
flow
o
that is
mayor
stable.
control de
You
los
will have a
costos.
reduction of costs
Habrá
or a
un
better control of your
reconocimiento
costs.
fuerte
You
en
will
el mercado
There will
de
be a
marca, más competencia
recognition,
también,
I'm
porque
sorry,
si
of the
eres un first mover, si eres una de
market
las
of your
empresas que
brand, to know your
no tenía
competitors.
mucha
If you're
competencia antes
where
y
they are
otras
regarding your
empresas
company,
ven
sometimes
que
you
es un
before you
mercado
didn't
muy
have a lot of
interesante, habrá
competitors, and now
más
there are other
competencia.
companies
Si
that
es
in the
una
market are very
empresa
interesting,
que va
and they are
madurando,
your competitors.
encontrará más
to
competencia
these
también.
companies
Y
that are
en tu plan
maturing
de
or that are
negocio
growing, they will
necesitarás
find more
explicar,
competitors. So you will
necesitarás
need to show that in your
necesitarás
business plan.
hacer
You
ese
will need to
análisis de
explain
tu
that. You will
competencia
need
y
to do
explicar
this
cómo
analysis
vas a
to
tratar
explain your
con esta
competitors
competencia.
and to explain how to
Tendrás procesos
deal
y
with them,
procedimientos
how you're going to
formalizados,
work with them.
tendrás
You will
una
need to have
gestión
more
profesional,
formalized
que no solamente
procedures and
depende de la
processes. You
fundadora,
will have a
o
more
tendrás un
professional
plan para
management.
compartir esa
You will have
responsabilidad de
a
gestión.
plan. This has to do
Habrá
with the
también una
founder
delegación
also.
de
Maybe you
tareas,
will have some
habrá, por
delegation. You will
ejemplo, inversiones en
divide your
infraestructura, puede
tasks.
ser
You will
como
have
la infraestructura
investments
tecnológica,
in
sistemas sólidos
infrastructure,
de TEC, por
in
ejemplo, o inversiones
in
en infraestructura
technology,
física, por
in
ejemplo, en
solid
edificios
systems, firm
de
system
producción o en
support,
edificios para tu
investments
negocio.
in physical structure,
Habrá
for
también
example,
un
maybe in
enfoque
a
en
building,
nuevos
in an
mercados
office,
o en
or
nuevos
regarding
productos,
production, and you
porque
maybe
vas
need some new
desarrollándote, vas creciendo,
buildings
vas,
to
am,
manufacture, and you will focus also on new
vas mirando
markets
a
and in
otros
new
mercados y
products.
otras
If you look
opciones
in other
para
options,
mantener,
other
sostener ese
markets
crecimiento
to
que estás buscando.
support, to sustain
Al
this
mismo
growth
tiempo,
that we
verás
are looking for. And at the same
una
time,
menor
you will
tolerancia
see
al
a
riesgo
lower
porque estás
tolerance
enfocada en
for
proteger
the
tu
risk
posición
because
en
you are
el mercado
focused on your
y
position in the
en
market.
proteger tus
And
ganancias en vez
you're
de
also
buscar
focused in
iniciativas o
protecting your
proyectos
growth, your
de
revenue,
alto riesgo.
instead of looking
Estas son
for
cosas
new
que para un
initiatives and
financiador cuando
projects.
está
This
leyendo tu
is
solicitud
what
de
a funder,
financiamiento
this is all
está
important for a funder
estará
when they are
buscando como estas
reading your
señales
application for
positivas
funding. They
para
are
decir,
looking for
ok,
these
esta
signals.
solicitud
They are
es
looking
sólida, esta
for this
persona es
in order to see
emprendedora,
that this is a firm,
sabe
a
lo que
strong
sabe lo que
application. This
quiere y sabe lo
person
que
knows what they
sabe
want.
que es
They
importante
know
para un
how to get it, and they
financiador.
know what is important for a funder.
Perdón. La
Okay,
primera.
let's
Y
see the
voy a
first
compartir
one, and I will share now
algo distinto.
something different.
Un momento, por favor.
Just a moment.
Y la segunda.
And the second, let me see.
He creado unas dos herramientas
I created
muy
two
simples, muy
tools,
básicos,
very
muy
simple, very
básicas
basic
para
ones
ayudarles
to help you
a estructurar
to structure
sus pensamientos antes de
your
tener
thinking
conversaciones con
before
financiadores.
having conversations with the
Rocío,
funders.
¿puedes confirmar,
Rocío,
por ejemplo,
can you
¿puedes confirmar,
confirm
por favor, que puedes ver mi
that
pantalla?
you
Puedo
can
ver
see my
perfectamente.
screen? Yes?
Gracias.
Okay.
Perfectamente.
Vale. La primera
So
herramienta
the
es este
first
análisis
tool
profundo del
is this
modelo de negocio.
profound
Y no voy a
business
leer todas
model
las preguntas, vamos a compartir
analysis.
esas
I'm not going to read all
plantillas
the
en la
questions. I'm going
academia
to share this
del
template in
challenge,
the
entonces
academy,
lo
of the Challenge
encontrarán
Academy. I will share
después de
them.
esta
So
sesión.
afterwards you can
Pero
take a look at them.
la herramienta
But this
mirará
tool
unas cosas como
will
el
look
motor de
several things, for example, as
ingresos
the engine,
para explicar
your
qué es lo que
revenue
impulsa tus
engine, to try
ventas,
to
oferta
explain what
principal, fuentes de ingreso, la lógica de
leverages your
ingresos, por
sales,
ejemplo, pero
and also
también
to
el
see the
perfil
level
de tus
of
clientes
revenue, the
y sobre
profile
todo
of your
cuáles son tus
clients,
clientes más rentables o
which
más
are your most
constantes. Y puedes
profitable
explicar
clients.
bien
Can you
cuál es el
explain them?
problema que estás
And can you explain
resolviendo
the
para
problem that
estos
you're
clientes?
facing for
¿Cuáles son
these
sus puntos de
clients?
dolor?
Which are
Y
their
qué es lo
pain
que te
points? And
diferencia
what
en el
differences
mercado, que te
them, or what
diferencia de
differences
tu
you in the
competencia.
market from
Sé
your
que si ya
competitors?
han
So
escrito un
you
plan de
can write
negocio,
it down. For
debería ser
example, if you
bastante
wrote
fácil
a business plan, this will
dar
be really
respuesta a esta
easy to
pregunta.
answer these
Pero si
questions. It
han
is
pasado
really easy if
unos
you have a
meses
business
o
plan. But
unos años,
if
quizás
some months have
desde la
passed or
última
some years from the
actualización de este
last
plan de
time that
negocio,
you made a
puede ser
business
un buen
plan, it
ejercicio
will be a
pensar otra
really
vez
good exercise to think
o
this over
analizar
once
si los
again,
clientes
and
han
to
cambiado, si
analyze
tiene otro
the
tipo de
clients, if
clientes
they
en
have
este
changed, if
momento.
you have other risks.
And what are the key aspects that allow to generate a constant revenue? Questions regards whether your company is stable. Also, there are questions about pricing and profitability. How do you set prices? If they cover all actual costs, including your own salary and overheads, depreciation, of course, if you include that. If you know the profit margin per product or service, not just the net utility of the product, but perhaps considering per each product or service that you are selling, whether that contributes to the net profitability of your company, or if you are deducting that. The question is if that is a problem for your company. Are your most popular product also your most profitable? Or if there is room for improvement in your sales strategy. The scalability, you can grow without breaking. If you can grow your model without collapsing the company, what part of the business is ready to grow? Which are the obstacles that might constrain your growth? What will happen in that case? If you double your clients, use of funds logics, if the funds that you are looking for create measurable business growth, and how, and what is the purpose of this funding? What is the margin of your current sales? How will you repay or justify this ask? The strategic fit. Is your model investment ready? What are the signals of business health that you can show a funder? In which stage you are at this moment? What can improve or strengthen your current model? If your income funds are strong enough to sustain the following steps. As you can see, all of these questions have to do with an assessment. It's not just to say whether you are doing it good or not. It's just to explain and to try to find out those weak points of your business model in the process of requesting funding. The second tool that I have here is the alignment frame in the use of funds. This is a very simple tool. Perhaps you already have this information in your accountability software. If not, this tool might be used in structuring your thought. Which is the foreseen use, what the purpose, and how you can link this with growth, and what is the expected result. You have an example here that you can use for inspiration, and it's important to be as specific as possible to explain what is your purpose and to have this smart result, to have a measurable result to be able to present to a funder. A coherent test. What is it that you want to grow? Will this increase your revenue in the following 6 to 12 months? It's important for a funder to see that you need to convince a person that does not know anything about your company. So you need to make sure that your information is clear with a logic, with a robust logic. Is this a bottleneck? Is this solve a bottleneck? Can you measure or track the product or the impact? You can, what's the time? Is it appropriate? Do you have to take necessary steps before obtaining new results? And here you can anticipate the funder doubts with some important criteria to consider. So as I've said, we will share this information with you in the Challenge Academy. Let me go back to my presentation. Just a moment.
Okay. Bueno, como he dicho, ese diagnóstico de
As I said,
negocio está
this
diseñado, esta plantilla está
business
diseñada
diagnosis is
para
this
prueba,
template is
pues,
designed to
ver
test
la lógica de ingresos y la
your
segmentación de tus clientes,
value delivery, the income
el
logic, and the
cuadro de
customer
alineación de uso de
segmentation,
fondos te
and
ayudará a identificar si el
the
gasto del
frame, the alignment grid will
crecimiento,
help you
capacidad
identify
de
whether
delivery
spending is tied to
y
financial
riesgo.
growth, delivery
Son
capacity, or
herramientas, como he
risk
dicho, muy
mitigation.
simples,
So there's
pero
very
para
simple
ayudarte a estructurar
guidelines
tus
that will
pensamientos
help you
antes de
structure
solicitar
your
dinero.
thought,
Te
your
mostrará
ideas before
estas cosas para
requesting
leer todo,
funding.
pero
I
por
will not
ejemplo,
read
cuando
all of
la
this
desconexión que
information, but
existe
it will
entre
help
tu plan
you
de,
if
tu plan
there
de
is some
ingresos y tu
disconnection
modelo
between
de
your revenue
costos,
plan and your
que
cost
es algo
model,
que un
because
financiador
that is
quiere
something that
ver
a
también.
funder will
Vale.
want
Antes
to
de pasar y
see.
tomaremos pausa.
We've already have our pause.
Entonces, antes de
And
abrir el micrófono para las preguntas, quería
before
resumir los
open
puntos
up
claves de
the
hoy,
mic for
que para los
discussions, I wanted
negociadores
to sum
que
up the
realmente
most
necesitan
important
creer
takeaways
científicamente
messages
el
for
ciclo
today's
de
session
financiamiento
that your
es
funders
que
need to
tu negocio
believe.
funciona
What they
bien.
need to
¿Qué quiere
believe
decir? Que tienes
is that
ventas,
you
que
have a
eres
company
una
that
empresa que tiene
works well,
rentabilidad
that you are a company, do you have a
y
company
que
with
tienen
profitability, and that you
un
have a
plan
strategic
bien pensado para
plan
crecer
very
y
well
poder
designed
explicar
to be able to
qué estás
grow,
haciendo
and that
crecer,
you can be
cómo
able to
vas a
explain
utilizar el
what are you
dinero
doing
y
to
cómo el dinero te
increase
ayudará
your
a
company.
hacer
How
crecer a tu
are you
empresa.
planning to use the money
Y
to
que tu
increase your
solicitud de
company?
financiamiento
And
coincide
that
con tu etapa
your
de
funding
desarrollo o
request
de crecimiento.
matches
Y lo
your
importante
development
es
stage or
siempre recordar
growth
que es tu
stage. And that is, it is
responsabilidad
really important
lograr que
to
los
remember
financiadores
that it is
crean en
your
tu negocio.
responsibility to make
Nadie
funders believe in your
está,
business.
no sé, saliendo, buscando empresas, diciendo,
No one is
necesito una
going
empresa
after
para dar
companies
dinero,
selling. I need a
no tengo
company to
bastante
provide
peso.
money to.
Sí, pueden decirlo,
Uh,
pero al final
you
del día, su
it's
modelo
the
de
thing
negocio
is
es
that the
dar
end of the
dinero para
day, the
ganar
purpose
dinero.
of
Y no
them
les
is to
gustan los
provide money,
riesgos,
to
no les
earn
gusta la
money. They are not
inestabilidad,
fond of
no les
risks.
gustan
They
la
love
incertidumbre.
stability.
Entonces, sobre
They
todo,
do
están
not like
buscando empresas
uncertainties.
estables,
So
empresas que
they are
pueden
looking
mostrar
for
que
stable
pueden, que
companies that
entienden
can
bien su modelo de
prove that
negocio,
they have a
entienden
clear
bien qué es
understanding of
necesario para
their
poder
business
crecer con
model
su
and that
empresa.
they know what it takes to make the
Para la
company grow.
próxima vez o antes de la próxima sesión,
Before
si
next
tienes tiempo, después
session, if
sería
you have
buena idea
time, it
intentar
could be a good
completar
idea
este
to try
análisis
and
profundo
complete
de
the
negocio a través de esta plantilla
uh,
que encontrarás
business
en la
model
apariencia
analysis.
del
You will
vídeo.
find this template
Y
in
este
the
cuadro de alineación de
IDB
uso de
Academy,
fondos.
and this is
Intentar
also
también
the
identificar tu
alignment
punto
grid
débil,
on
tu
how to use your funds,
financiamiento
and try to
pasado.
identify the weak
Entonces,
point in your
pensar un poco
past
sobre qué
financing logic.
cambiaría
So
ahora que sabes
you
un
should
poco
think
más
about what
o
things you will
entiendes un poco más
change
la
now that
perspectiva
you
de tu
have a
financiador.
better
Y para
understanding
la
of
próxima
the
vez
financing
vamos a hablar de tu
perspective.
plan
And
estratégico de
next time
financiamiento
we
y vamos a
will
empezar
start
con la
talking
construcción
about
de tu
the
estrategia financiera
strategic
y cómo alinearlo
plan
con lo que
and
estás
how to
buscando los
align
financiadores.
that with what
Vale.
funders
Había
are
visto
looking
una
for.
pregunta en el chat
I
sobre si los
I think there
financiadores
was a
también
question in the
financian
chat
la
as regards
infraestructura. La
if
pregunta simple
funders
es sí,
also
pero
fund
depende si
infrastructure.
puedes explicar
The
cómo
answer is
esta
yes, but it
inversión
will
o cómo
depend
esta
on whether you
financiación
can
te
explain or
ayudará a
not.
crecer con tu empresa.
This
Si eres, por
investment
ejemplo,
will
una
help you
empresa muy
grow your
pequeña
company.
y
If
no
you are a
puedes
small
mostrar, por
company
ejemplo, un
and you
crecimiento bastante fuerte
cannot
en tus
prove a
ventas,
strong
será
growth
bastante
in your
difícil
sales,
convencer a
it
un
will be
financiador que te dé
rather difficult
300
to
mil
convince
dólares,
a
por ejemplo,
funder that
para
having
construir tu edificio,
$300,000 will be
porque el
enough
financiamiento no está
to
alineado
build
con donde te
to
encuentras en
construct a
ese momento
building,
con tu
because
empresa.
funding is
Otras
not
preguntas
aligned
antes de
with the
cerrar.
current stage of your company.